Fraudsters are no longer just sending suspicious emails. They're calling you directly, using sophisticated tactics to steal your money. This International Fraud Awareness Week, the Southern African Fraud Prevention Service urges everyone to use a simple defense. Just say goodbye. The campaign targets voice phishing, where criminals pose as banks, cell phone providers, or even police in order to trick you into sharing information or sending money. Joining us this morning is Retief, the head of operations at the Southern African Fraud Prevention Service, to explain how technology is being used to, of course, fraud and even the warning signs to watch out for and how to protect your finances. Roy, appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Just say goodbye is the campaign. Why that word especially?
Carabella, and good morning to the viewers as well. The focus of the campaign is to try and keep things as simple as possible. A lot of the time people get very confused with these different types of frauds and the scams going around and how complicated they get. And the concept behind the campaign was to keep it as simple as possible. And if you are getting these sorts of phishing calls, as you alluded to earlier, it could be somebody purporting to be your bank from a cell phone provider, possibly law enforcement, or even an IT service provider. The part to remember is, if at all suspicious, please just say goodbye and end the call.
Yeah, I think very important one to really be having when it comes to that. It just feels like it's growing. There's a lot more sophistication, a lot more calls, spam calls on phone calls is what people receive a lot more. We've had that conversation on the show a lot. Why is there this uptick? Is it just the state of the economy, or is there more at play?
I think it's a bit of both, and it's not just a local phenomenon. We see this, we're talking to our counterparts in the UK and Australia and in Europe, and we're seeing similar trends happening globally. You'll find that the fraud universe, as it's called, tends to evolve. So these criminals are constantly adapting the ways that they try and con people into parting with money and information. And just as the awareness is being created around one sort of scam and what the hallmarks of that scam is, they'll change to another form of scam to try and con people. And obviously technology is playing a major role in this as well. So one's got to be mindful of the types of technologies that we use and the risks associated with those various types of technology. We've seen some interesting phenomenon, if I could call it that, is that, in terms of identity theft and keeping information confidential, consumers are very, very cautious as to who they share information with on a face-to-face level. But the minute we enter the digital environment, for example, on social media platforms, various social media platforms for that matter, people just lose all caution and they share information that they wouldn't ordinarily share in a face-to-face environment. And that's what these criminals are capitalizing on.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they're hoping we do a lot more of. Is there a greater understanding now, though, that this is happening a little bit more? Are you seeing a lot more people saying, I can see this is happening, I just don't know how to stop it? And that's why your mechanisms now come into play, helping people understand technology a little bit better, and maybe even associating yourselves or partnering with technological groups to help in this process.
It certainly is. And, the thinking is to get awareness out there. The more you can inform consumers, the more you can tell them about these scams, what to look out for, the better it is for them to use that knowledge and skills to prevent becoming victims of these types of scams. And very importantly, should they become a victim of these sorts of scams, what to do afterwards. There's a phenomenon that people have an embarrassment factor. They don't talk about it. They're embarrassed. People might think they're stupid, and that's really not the case. These scams are so sophisticated. We're actually appealing to people to share as much as they possibly can with family, friends, colleagues. And if you're seeing material in how to prevent yourself from being a victim of these frauds and scams, typically what we're sharing as part of the Just Say Goodbye campaign, please share it as widely as possible and get the message across. If we can prevent one person from falling victim to a scam, that's already a win as far as we're concerned.
Is your effectiveness, however, then, as the Southern African Fraud Prevention Service, perhaps based a little bit more on people sharing this information with you? Because you then can't understand or can't get a clear sense of what is happening out there without some of it.
Yes, quite correct, Arabile. And to that end, we've actually created an initiative about 2 years ago called Yima, which is YIMA, and we've got a website there, yima.org.za, for that exact reason. Now, consumers are able to share information relating to scams that they might have been approached by or fallen victim of, to at least, with a website. I must stress it's not a substitute for not reporting to the matter to the police for further investigation. But what we would typically do is take that information that they provide, share it with our member organizations, which are typically the big corporates, the banks, the telcos, the retailers, the insurers, so that we can help prevent these fraudulent schemes going forward. And we are engaging with some of the big tech giants as well in this regard. So the Yima platform is certainly there for sharing this information, but also there's a wealth of information that consumers can access free of charge to assist them and educate them about the different scams doing the rounds and how to prevent themselves falling victims, what are the red flags to look for, and what to do if you are approached by these criminals. And it's underscored by the campaign slogan of Just Say Goodbye. Once you've identified those red flags, just break contact with these criminals completely.
Of course, Yima, meaning wait or stop. Being very pivotal to that process. All right, looking ahead, technological innovations that you now need to be a keen part of in order to match up and really understand what is going on out there. I mean, how many changes do you have to be a part of in order to know what's happening and ensure that everybody else then is part of that knowledge system?
So technology is what's changing the fraud universe, and that is what we need to keep abreast of as well. We work very closely with our member organizations and international partners in terms of understanding what these scams and schemes are and how they are using modern technology or emerging technologies in terms of adapting that to create scams and to continue their criminal activities. We've heard with the emergence of artificial intelligence, AI, and the scams associated with that being typically your deep fakes and AI being used to impersonate celebrities, for want of a better word, to, for example, encourage consumers to invest in fraudulent investment schemes and so on. What we're also seeing, and it's really becoming topical at this time of the year leading up to the festive season and also Black Friday coming up at the end of the month, is where we're seeing a lot of spoofed websites or spoofed adverts on social media platforms offering consumers deals that just seem ridiculously good at this time of the year for Christmas and Black Friday as well. And what we're advising consumers to bear in mind is if the deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. We've seen it and we see it every year. It could be these fraudsters impersonating airlines or retailers that you can get ridiculous travel bundles and ridiculously cheap flights and for example, electronic goods like televisions and laptops for very, very low prices compared to what they'd normally be, even taking things like Black Friday into account. So we're just advising consumers, just be mindful of that. These are starting to emerge coming up to the festive season, and just to be mindful that that is the case. If they are in doubt, please just check for example, the social media feeds and websites of the legitimate businesses to see if you're getting those same deals coming out. But it is a problem, and the criminals are starting to ramp up for Christmas as well.
Yeah, I mean, during Black Friday last year, South Africans spent 3.2 billion rand. Just imagine how much more was actually whether attained fraudulently, received, spent in ways that were perhaps nefarious, over and above that 3.2 billion rand as well. So very, very fascinating and an important one to really get a hold of. Just very quickly here as well, Roy, as we try to understand for consumers who may be impacted, may have already been affected, whether it's a stolen identity, whether it's a stealing of some of their items, etc. How can they report this? Who do they get in touch with? And perhaps how do they deal with the Southern African Fraud Prevention Services, and how do you help?
What I'd suggest is, especially if it comes to devices that go missing, for example, a mobile device with banking apps and so on, the first thing to do is contact your bank to delink that device from your banking app and your banking profiles. The second thing is consumers can contact us. We've got a free solution that we provide to consumers in the event that they've lost a device containing sensitive information or an ID document, or even just feel that their personal information may be out there, could have been compromised, and they want an added layer of protection. It's called our Protective Registration Solution. If consumers go to our website, safps.org.za, they can apply for a protective registration. It's a digital process. It'll literally, if everything is in order, take a couple of minutes. And what we'll do is digitally verify that consumer with a DHA, Department of Home Affairs, to ensure that we are dealing with a genuine consumer and not a fraudster. We'll take them through the process, and if everything checks out, within a couple of minutes, we'll email the protective registration letter to them. And what that essentially does is it provides an alert to all our member organizations, which, as I said, are typically the banks, retailers, mobile phone companies, and insurers, that literally gives them an alert to say, this consumer's identity has been compromised in some other way. Please just take extra care to ensure that you're dealing with a genuine consumer and not a fraudster trying to impersonate them. So, as I said, it's a completely free service available via our website at safps.org.za.
Roy Retief, South African Fraud Prevention Services COO. Thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. And I think an important message that we will try to repeat and continue to bear forward to all the consumers around the country as we head into the festive season. Appreciate your work and appreciate you joining us as well on the show.